and gentlemen, I take pride in introducing the greatest show on earth.
Hi, everybody. This is Scott Gordon, and welcome to the Uncle Floyd podcast number 81. Today's Friday, July 10th, 2026 at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and I'm sitting here in my studio recording this for you guys. We're going to have some music by Uncle Floyd later on in the show. We're going to have some other stuff, and I've got a whole bunch of questions from you that I'm going to answer. So please, if you'd like to get questions in for next week, just email them to ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. And I'll be glad to answer them for you right here next week. Get them in right away because I have no idea when I'm going to do it. I do it anytime during the week, but I usually release it on Saturday. So let's listen to the end of the theme, and then we'll get right into it. The Uncle Floyd Show theme by the Vivino Brothers Band, as was made for our syndication show. That's when we started using it. We had a bunch of other themes before then, but we've talked about that before. All right, so here we go. From Stephen Gallo, Brooklyn, New York City. On podcast number 80, there was some interesting discussion about the fan mail sent to the show and how Floyd opened all of it except those addressed to individual cast members. Have you received any fan mail over the years that you have found particularly memorable? Giving specific details is optional. And have you saved any of it? Yeah, I have saved some of it. I've saved some of the pictures on the wall for me, too. One of these days, I'm going to figure out, or I'll arrange to do a video podcast, and I'll hold up some of those pictures. It's not very interesting watching me on the podcast. It's just me sitting in the studio with a bunch of junk around here and the thing going. So the recording is up there, and I have the things with the sound effects and the funny noises and junk like that. Stuff like, and also, yeah, come on in.
Huge!
Thank you. That's it. It's just me sitting here and reading a bunch of papers that are in my hand. From Vincent Speranza. I apologize in advance for the earworm for those who remember the commercials, but did any of you guys ever play the Westchester County Fair over the years? Yes. I know Floyd has. I have, with some of the things that I've done in the past. Can't remember anything in particular. I don't know about the other guys. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I'm really not that sure. From Dennis DeLeo. You guys did many live performances in dozens of venues. Once in a while, you'll show a clip. Did Floyd ever film a complete show? Did you save any shows from any clubs or colleges? I know legally you can't show too much from different venues because they claim ownership. If you have more clips, can you show them at our Tuesday night get-togethers? Yeah, well, Tuesday night at 8, we have a date. We get together and I show some clips of the show and we discuss certain things about the clips. There's a chat log where people can type in different questions about the show. I could probably show a couple of clips on there. I have from not only the Bottom Line, which I've shown a couple of clips, but I have from the Club Benet and from the Williams Center in Rutherford. Those tapes are not good. They were done with the microphone that's on the camera. The Club Benet was on a table. The camera was mounted on a table in the middle of the audience, and you can hear one guy yelling through the whole thing, and a lot of the dialogue you can't hear. I could show clips of that, but I don't know how much the people will like them. Maybe I'll bring one or two of them out, and we'll see what people think if they want to see more of it. Also, the Williams Center, that was very nice. It's a very raked stage, so it's shooting down on the top of our heads, and you can see the bald spots. Maybe I'll show some of that too, but the dialogue, I probably could punch it up a little bit, but I don't know how much. I'll give it a try, and we'll do that in the future. From Kevin Dillon, I remember Jan and Dean appearing on the show in the early 80s. Do you recall how they got booked on the show? What were your memories of meeting them? It was not the early 80s, Kevin. That was in, maybe it was. Maybe it was 81. 80 or 81. I know it was at the old studio at 416 Eagle Rock Avenue in West Orange. So it had to be before 81. Yeah, I do have memories of meeting them. It was very interesting. It was Jan and Dean were both there. They were doing a tour. They were doing basically a lecture tour, I think it was. I know they weren't doing music because it was after Jan's accident, when he was in an accident on Dead Man's Curve, of all places. And he got very seriously hurt. He had a very severe brain injury, and he did not speak very well. He was constantly stammering and pausing, and it was one of those, it was unfortunate because the people weren't paying attention to him. They were talking with Dean, and Jan was sort of just sitting in the background. During a break in the taping, I sat down with him on the stairs in the old Channel 68 building going up to the office area, and I spent a half hour talking to him. It was a half-hour break. It was a breakdown of the equipment. And when we were done, and when they had taped their segment, and they were ready to leave, he came over to me, he gave me a big hug, and he said in my ear, "Thank you, no one listens to me." So if you have a friend out there, or a family member, or someone who has a hesitation or a problem with communicating, take the time. They really appreciate it. That made me change my mind a lot about some things that I had done ignoring people. That would be a good thing. From Jeff Clementi, could you please share the story behind the David Byrd to Artie Delmar to David Byrd name changes? I gave Dave a call and I talked to him. I said, "Well, what do you want to say about this?" And he said, "Tell them the truth." I said, "Okay." So the truth is, David Byrd was working with us, and then we started to get outside work from the show. Some of the work he was getting was to do with what he was doing for a living, and that was a company he was running, and he didn't want some crossover. He didn't want people to look at the name of the company and see who was running it and compare it to the nuttiness that went on the Uncle Floyd show, and someone saying, "No, I don't want to hire this guy to do my job." He changed it. And then later on, it no longer mattered. He had a reputation, so it changed it back again. He became Artie Delmar on the show, so not to confuse people who were dealing with his business. P.S. This is from Jeff. P.S. The comedy segments you occasionally play by you and Rogue are hysterical. Keep them coming. Okay. I could do that. From Matthew Vigorita, Patterson, New Jersey. Were there any cast members that lasted only a few episodes? Yes. There were several cast members who came on. I won't name names because they were just not, they didn't get along with us. The way we worked, they expected to be at like regular television. It was not. We constantly kept moving and moving and moving and moving unless there was a breakdown, a technical breakdown. But we kept moving. We did not stop. And a lot of people couldn't take that. And we were a little bit too rough for some people because we just beat the heck out of each other on the stage in front of the camera to get a laugh. So yeah, there was several who did not stay very long. Also, could you play more of your radio skits from Remember When? They're hilarious. All right, that's 2 questions about Remember When, so I'll tell you what. This one we did, I think it was in 1994, and it was pretty topical at the time. And it kind of fits in with today. So this was a news break. We did news breaks where we would interrupt our own show in the middle of a song and go to something silly like this. And here we go. This is from Remember When. Probably back in 1994.
We interrupt Remember When for this message of dubious value from the Remember When News Bureau. Here is reporter Rogue.
The U.S. Postal Service has announced there will be no change in the soon-to-be-issued World Cup Soccer Tournament stamp. Even though the matches will be held in Giant Stadium, which is located in East Rutherford, New Jersey, the stamp will feature a picture of the stadium with the words, 1994 World Cup Tournament, New York City. This situation has angered Mr. Wellington Farquhar, the president of the American Council Testing Our Federal Fatheads, or ACT OFF. Mr. Farquhar is with us to state his position. Mr. Farquhar?
Thank you, Miss Rogue. We at ACTOF find this action by the U.S. Postal Service to be capricious and arbitrary. The great state of New Jersey has been slighted once too often, and we're mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore.
What actions are ACTOF supporting in retaliation for this perceived violation?
We're calling for a statewide boycott of several things. First, don't buy World Cup stamps. Be annoying about it. Buy only 3-cent stamps and use 9 of them.
But Mr. Farquhar, that's only 27 cents.
Don't worry about it. My brother-in-law works for the post office, and if he is any indication of the caliber of employee, they'll never notice the difference. Second, don't have anything to do with New York City. Why, without New Jersey's support, that rotten island would just dry up and blow away. Third, since soccer is the national sport of Italy, don't have anything to do with Italian stuff. Don't eat lasagna, don't drink Sambuca or Frangelico, don't drive a Fiat or a Ferrari or a Mastercholi.
That's Maserati.
Whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Wellington Farquhar of ACT OFF.
Thank you, Miss Rogue. Hey, you want to go out for pizza? I got some great wine to go along with it. I think it's a Bartolino.
From Susie Tannenbaum. We know the entertainers that Floyd admired from the previous generation, like Jackie Gleason and the Marx Brothers. Did he like the comedy routines of any contemporaries? We never really talked about comedy from other people, Susie. We never did because of the fact that we didn't want to compare ourselves to anyone else. If we started thinking about other people's comedy, we felt that that would probably bring in the feel of that person's comedy into what we were doing, and we didn't want to do it. Did he mention any younger entertainers who showed a lot of promise? No. We did not discuss other people. We discussed what we were doing. So whether he liked them or not, I know there were things on TV he watched and things on TV he didn't watch, but we never talked about it. From Mike Opp, 1960. Memory and timeline fails me, so I must ask. Skip left the show at one point, but didn't come back later? I know the cast filmed tirelessly, but were there ever any long stretches, vacations when there was no filming? Skip every year would go and visit his mom in Florida. He did that for a while. Also, when his mom passed away to settle her estate, he went down to Florida and spent several months down there. Those were some times he was missing. There were other times when he was working in radio. All of us had jobs. All of us had other jobs. Like Artie had his job, which is why he changed his name from Dave to Artie and back to Dave. But we all had other things that we did. I worked in Ken's Magic Shop. I worked in a stereo store, an audio store, as a consultant. I worked in a computer store as management. I managed movie theaters for several years. We all had other things that we did. So when the show took a little break for some reason or other, whether it was to move to a different station, which it was only about a week or two between, because Floyd constantly wanted to keep the show going. He didn't want to lag in the show where people would forget about it. He wanted to keep it contiguous. We all had things that we were doing on the outside, and fortunately, most of the time I could break away from work on a certain day and tape the show, but other times we couldn't. It just did not happen. From Fred Knapp. Scott, once your dental surgery was done and your mouth healed, what was the first meal you had? Fred, nachos. A big pile of crunchy, hot, delicious, spicy nachos is what I had. Question number 2. There was a radio station in Allentown, PA, WZZO 95.1, that had Oh Yeah Friday. they would play a small clip from Skip Rooney's song, Oh Yeah. Did they ever ask permission from Skip or Uncle Floyd to use that? No, they didn't. They were using a small clip, which can be done. At that time, we didn't complain about it. You know, people knew who it was. Outside of Allentown, PA, they knew us there. They knew the Uncle Floyd show, so it was no problem. And as far as question number 3, I'm not going to answer that question, Fred, because I don't want to give anybody ideas. All right? We want to leave that alone. If I talk about that, somebody will come up with, say, hey, I can do that, and they'll go and do it. So I'm not going to discuss that at all. From Phil Panzerino, formerly from Staten Island, now from Lakewood Ranch, Florida. I don't know where Lakewood Ranch, Florida is. That sounds like an interesting place. I miss the Italian-American Serenade. Will you release more shows? Phil, I'm in the process of working on that. It's a very interesting situation because of the fact the music in there is copyrighted. Some of it is still under copyright. Not all of it is what's known as public domain. What I have to do is I'm in the process of having a legal department work up a statement saying that all this stuff was paid. It was paid when on broadcast for internet use and for internet storage for all time, which it was. It was paid for by the stations. So I'm having a legal team work on that. So that'll happen sooner or later. From Charlotte Quinn. I saw a skit with you and Floyd dressed for the Wild West, sitting at a table in a saloon having a couple of drinks. The drinks had what looked like whipped cream, and it ended up all over your faces like shaving cream. Seeing you look like you were ready for a shave made me wonder if you've always had a beard and a mustache. It's difficult to picture you without. Can you tell us the history of your facial hair? Charlotte, that's a long story, and to tell it here would be really, really rough. But it seems that last year in August, after This Was the Uncle Floyd Show showing on Tuesday night at 8, we have a date. You can get to it by going to theunclefloydshow.tv, theunclefloydshow.tv. I'll mention this again in a few minutes. If you go to our Facebook group, there's a Facebook group called This Was the Uncle Floyd Show. You will find the information. You'll find it right there. And search for August 13th, 2025. If you go back that far, there's a post by my company. One of the guys in the office posted it. It's Scott Gordon Enterprises, Inc. is the name of the company, if you didn't know it. Posted there is a series of pictures from my archives of myself with the different beards and different growths of hair that I've had over the years. So if you go there and take a look, you'll see the entire story of my beard. There's a tradition. Once you've become known in show business, in the beginning, if you've initially become known as a person with a beard, you try and keep the beard throughout your career, which is what I'm following. It's an old-time showbiz tradition, and that's just the way it is. Now, we're going to have a song by Uncle Floyd coming up in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to remind everybody, if you'd like to get a question in here, just please email it as soon as you can, as soon as you think of it, anytime you think of it, to ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com, and I'll read it here next week. Just get it over to me, and I'll be glad to do it. I love these questions. They make me think. And thinking is something you don't get a chance to do much anymore for some strange reason, unless you're reading a book, which I like to read, so I do that. Now, every Tuesday night at 8, we have a date. At 8 p.m. Eastern Time, once a week, every Tuesday night, I show clips from the old Uncle Floyd show, and you'll see some of the stuff we talk about here. Never know what I'm going to show. I may dig up the Jan and Dean segment again in a couple of weeks or this week or whatever. Just go there. TheUncleFloydShow.tv. TheUncleFloydShow.tv. It costs $5, and that money helps to keep this podcast going and to keep the live stream show going on Tuesday night. It costs a lot of money to do this. You have no idea how much this costs to keep this going. So please, 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 please come and see it. If you can't come and see it, if you don't have a chance and you'd like to help us out a little bit, in the description of this, there's a link to an address where you can give us a tip. Give us a tip. Help this going. Help keep this going. Help pay for this show. That's what it does. Please don't fast forward through the commercials. That also helps pay for the show. It's not much. Last month I got $35 for the commercials that air on this. So tell your friends. Build this up. The more people listen to it, the more people hear the commercials, the better off we are. Tell your friends about Tuesday night at 8. We have a date. All right, now I wanted to thank you all for being here. The most important thing to any show is you guys, the audience. Without you, this wouldn't happen. I'd be sitting here talking to a microphone and no one would care. But you guys care. I know you care. Floyd was always so pleased every time I told him about stuff and that you guys were listening and you guys were enjoying what we did so many years ago. Thank you so much for being here. And now, here's Uncle Floyd, just him on the piano, playing a song that he's done a dozen or more times that I know of, probably 100 times that I've heard him play it. And I've never heard him play it like this before. This is a very, very interesting recording of him doing one of the songs that he does constantly. So please, sit back, relax. I'll see you next time for this. I'll see you Tuesday night at 8. This is Scott Gordon. Have a great time.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down. If you want those things you love, you must have those showers. Trade them for a package of sunshine and flowers. So when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree, 'cause it's raining pennies from heaven for you and me. When you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven, pennies from heaven. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me.
This program was produced in the studios of Scott Gordon Enterprises, Incorporated in Paramus, New Jersey.